There are many misconceptions about different operations within the school system. Most people see the school bus on the street or they see it at their bus stop, and they don't really realize what goes into making sure that that bus is there on time, that there's adequate space on the bus for your child, that the buses are operating safely every single day, that the driver behind the wheel is qualified and has gone through extensive training to transport your child. I think there's an awful lot of work that goes on behind the scenes to get that school bus at the bus stop for the first day of school and have the student delivered safely to school, and to make sure that we cover every area of the county within our board policies.
The first thing we do, sort of in a quieter period in June, is we get our maps ready. We get our maps ready, we get our routes ready. We look for the progression of students. If it's a 5th grader last year, where are those 6th graders going to be? Where are we going to need middle school bus stops? Where are the 8th graders going on to 9th grade? You know, where are we going to need high school bus stops? We also look at the students enrolling in the spring for kindergarten, so they need an elementary bus stop. After our maps are ready to go, we proof them, we read them, we go over them, make sure everybody in the office also, the secretaries will read them and proof them, make sure that spellings are correct. Then we wait for the buses to go through their 2 inspections. Each bus is inspected twice in the summertime. One is their A inspection, which means that they go to a certified mechanic, have all the wheels pulled off, everything is checked thoroughly. That certification letter comes to us, that it's been thoroughly inspected. At the end of the summer, right before school starts, we will do our own inspection of the same bus. We don't pull the wheels off, but we go through and we check the fire extinguishers, we check the tires, we check underneath the hood, all over the bus.
Driver instructors have to check the inside, the driver's compartment, to make sure all the gauges and heaters and signals and the horn and the steering and all that and the air brakes and the hydraulic brakes, all those work. Also checked inside the bus are the emergency exits, be it the roof, the exit windows, the rear emergency door. We're checking to make sure the seats are bolted, there's no damage or holes in the seat, because if you have a hole in a seat, that's, if you have a fire inside the bus, this bus seat could burn up, catch on fire from the inside. Every bus in the fleet is inspected, and we have about 365 buses, and they're every single one of them, from spares to the buses that are on regular routes, are all inspected.
The overwhelming majority of our bus routes are contractor operated. We work with 65 separate contractor entities. So that's quite a number, ranging from 30-some buses as our largest down to single bus operators. We have currently 16 single bus contractors.
The inspection standards that we use are a federal guideline and MVA guidelines. The MVA visits us at least 1 bus inspection per year, and those are the guidelines that we have to follow. Now, above that, our inspections can be greater than MVA guidelines, and in some aspects we are. So we have to be at least as strict as the MVA guidelines, and we're a little bit stricter, I think. That's why our fleet looks so good. When we're inspecting the buses, okay, there's 2 different failures. There's a 30-day failure, and then there's a red line. If it's a minor mistake, something like a seat cushion or something like that, it's a 30-day tag. So they have 30 days to correct that mistake. If it's something major, something with the brakes or something with a safety system, a light that's needed, it is red line. That means we put a red line sticker in their bus and they cannot drive it, which creates a hardship if it's right in the middle of the school year, which we do our bus inspections twice during the school year, once before school starts. If your bus is redlined in an inspection at 11 o'clock, you're expected to have a bus on the road at 2. So those contractors really have to scramble to make sure, one, that they don't get redlined. But if it is something that is redlined, they have to get a spare bus or get that thing fixed, before it can be on the road again.
Our school bus drivers undergo quite a bit of training in order to drive a school bus. In Maryland, there are specific requirements. You must have a clean record in terms of no more than 2 current points on your personal driver's license. You must go through extensive pre-service training and hold a CDL with a passenger endorsement. So we have an excellent training program here with 3 driver trainers that are responsible for providing 9 hours of classroom and behind the wheel training. And then we have our own certification program here in Carroll County, which is unique. The MVA has permitted Carroll County to be one of their testing sites. So all of our Carroll County drivers can be certified here by our driver instructors.
All drivers are required to come to a 2-day class, which is 15 hours. In that class, they learn all the federal laws, they learn local policies and procedures, what we require. They learn how to discipline the students and keep student management under control. They learn how to evacuate a bus if they had to evacuate a bus. If they're going to be a special needs driver, they would have to learn how to evacuate all the special needs students, be wheelchairs, if they have to put them on a fire retardant blanket and drag them out, to the back door and then lift them to get them out of the bus. New drivers also are required to be fingerprinted. They have to have a satisfactory MVA history. And that's, when I say satisfactory MVA history, that's their entire MVA record from the time they started ever driving to the time they come to class. They have to have pre-employment drug tests. The physicals, they are DOT physicals. They have to be physically able to drive the bus according to DOT guidelines. They get 15 hours behind the wheel, and what we teach them is how to pre-trip the bus, how to park a bus, how to drive a bus, a big vehicle, out on the highway. Then they are tested, and the driver instructors in our department are also MVA testers. So we are under strict guidelines on testing for MVA. It would be just like taking them to an MVA facility to be tested. We have a score sheet. We test them. Once they pass, then we give them a certificate. They go to MVA to get their license, their actual physical license.
For our special needs buses, we provide additional training to special needs drivers and special needs assistants. Every one of our special needs buses has a special needs assistant on board. And that is somewhat unique in Maryland, but we feel it's very appropriate and does provide the driver and the students additional safeguards in terms of oversight of students.
In regards to special needs training, it's not only a driver that has to have the classroom training, but also if you're going to be an assistant on the school bus. And what they're taught in special needs is how to identify all different types of special needs characteristics and how to load them on the bus, be it if they're in a wheelchair, how to, both the driver and the assistant have to load a wheelchair student and secure them in the bus properly so they're safe, while the bus is moving. Also, we have special needs students that are in vests that they're taught how to secure the vest, one, to the bus seat, and then how to put the child in that vest securely and properly. Also, for car seats, they have to secure the car seat to the bus seat and then know how to make sure that child is properly secured in the car seat. Also, special needs drivers and regular drivers and assistants are CPR certified. We give them a class, and we have certified CPR instructors that certify them in CPR and AEDs.
Shock delivered. Start CPR.
Very good. Back into it.
There's many things that they have to learn, and it's a lot to know, and the public needs to be aware that it's like a classroom on wheels. And except the big difference is those 50 students are behind your back, and you need to control them and keep that bus, keep everybody safe, and drive with those 50 students behind your back. and that's not an easy task.
Our drivers are expected to do a pre-trip inspection of their school bus before every run.
We are obligated to check our buses, at least have a 15-minute time period where we inspect the buses. We start with the engine, look for anything leaking, possibly, before we even start the bus up. If it sets overnight, we start out in the morning, or if we start in the afternoon, you look, since you brought it back from the morning run, check for any possible leaks. You see water running hoses or anything like that, frayed belts. Then once you start it up, of course you check all your lights, flashing lights, making sure everything works, headlights, brake lights, and backup lights. Have somebody, another driver beside you, possibly check your backup lights, and you share the same with them. And do a walk around, check your tires, just look for anything unusual other than that, and then go through the interior, like I say, with checking the seats, make sure they're continuing to stay buckled down from your night when you parked it the night before. Emergency exits all have buzzers, all the emergency windows at the buzzers work. Seatbelt works, wipers work, mirrors are adjusted, and we're required each time we take the bus off the bus lot to do at least a 15-minute walk around outside, inside.
We do expect when the driver's done the run to continue to do a post-trip inspection, and just to make sure that nothing happened to the bus during the trip, during the morning trip, and then they do a quick pre-trip again before they take the bus out in the afternoon, and a post-trip again at the end of the day. Our buses and all buses across the state have requirements to follow, state law to follow in terms of picking up and discharging students. Bus drivers approaching bus stops are to activate the yellow flashing lights. There are 4 lights at the top of the bus. There are 2 amber lights, and there are 2 outside red lights. These are the big lights on top of the bus, front and back. So there's 4 in the back and 4 in the front. That's what we refer to as the 8-light warning system. When drivers approach a bus stop, at least 100 feet prior to the bus stop, the amber lights are to flash. And that's the same as a yellow traffic light that motorists would see. So it's telling the motorist that the bus is about to stop. Please slow down, come to a stop, and wait for the bus to completely stop. At the point the bus stops, the red flashing lights come on. It's a big issue in Carroll County. It's a big issue across the state. What we term flyby incidents, where drivers are going through the red flashing lights of the school bus. We're very pleased to have a great relationship with our law enforcement agencies, our local law enforcement agencies, in terms of enforcing the red flashing light law and the stop for school bus law. Our officers have received through various sources grant monies that would allow for officers to be out on the road during school hours when we're picking up and discharging students, and to try to enforce this law as best as possible. Somehow we must get the message across to motorists that this is a very, very important thing that we're doing. I mean, we're carrying our precious cargo, our children to school and from school every single day, and when they get on and off the bus, we have to have assurance that everyone respects the fact that that bus is stopped and students may be crossing the road, and when they see red lights, they should be stopped. Red flashing lights mean stop. So we're very pleased, though, with the cooperation of our Sheriff's Office and the other local law enforcement agencies across our county in terms of enforcing the red flashing light law.
Safety programs are in fact, there's a curriculum that is sent to each school on bus rider safety and school bus safety. And that's pretty much up to the school's prerogative, how they use it, usually in the kindergarten classes. There's a handbook that we put out from this office on what parents and students need to know about riding a school bus and school bus safety. Other safety programs is the Crash Coalition of Carroll County gets together with an area supervisor every single year, and McGruff, the crime dog, and AAA, and they get together and they'll go to 1 or 2 schools, and they'll meet each bus as they arrive. They hand out stickers, different flyers on safety. The Auto meets with the students, usually the kindergarten, first grade classes, and they go through a safety program.
The kids absolutely adore Buster and Otto the car. They relate to him, it seems, much better than they do to an adult standing there and saying, this is what you need to do and this is why you need to stay in your seat for safety reasons. In conjunction with that, the school also goes over the safety reasons why they need to stay in their seat and how to ride on a school bus.
The bus evacuation drills that are covered by every rider in Carroll County Schools every single year, actually twice per year. We feel that it's very important that students are able to and trained to get off a bus as quickly and safely as possible.
In the morning, they do bus evacuation on school property. So they all line up at the school. They will practice bus evacuation. They have to practice both doors, front door and a rear door. And they know that it's so important to get the students out in a timely manner, because it only takes, for a regular sized school bus, 1 minute and 7 seconds to fill with smoke. And that's what will kill the students and the driver, not the actual fire first. It would be the smoke-filled bus.
Bus evacuation drills are handled by the schools. They will send us a notice a couple days prior when our scheduled day is at the respective schools. When you get to the schools, you turn everything off in the bus, and of course you get everybody's attention and tell them which way we'll be going out. And if it's a rear evacuation, we start with the children in the front. We work them side to side out the back, and they sit and slide out the back door. If it's a front door evacuation, we have the students from the back, side to side, walk quickly but safely out the front door. And then if it's a split, we do the same thing. I start right in the middle of the bus, and we send that middle towards the back to evacuate, and the ones in front head out the front door. And that's a very quick evacuation. That way you're utilizing both doors.
The bus evacuation is really the driver and the students, because when evacuation is going to really occur, we're not going to be around. The school administrators are not going to be around. It's going to be the driver and the students. So we make sure that during that evacuation, it's the driver who takes charge, and then the students follow the driver's orders.
As far as inclement weather and decisions that are made to close schools or delay schools, the transportation staff, 4 area supervisors will go out every time we expect bad weather. We certainly look at our forecast well in advance, and if there's any chance that there's going to be inclement weather, we are out on the roads, and we divide the county into 4 quadrants, northeast, northwest, southwest, southeast. We're communicating constantly with each other. We're communicating with our counterparts in the adjacent counties, Baltimore County, Howard, Montgomery, Frederick. We're also in touch with our weather service, AccuWeather, in State College, Pennsylvania, to get the latest forecasts. And by 4:45, it is our goal each time to try and get a decision, or at least our recommendation, to our Assistant Superintendent, Mr. O'Neill, who then talks to our Superintendent, Mr. Guthrie, and the decision is made to either close or to delay school.
We get up at about 3:15, 3:30. We want to be on the road probably about 4:45. Sometimes we go out and we have to clean off our car, and sometimes there's a couple inches of snow on our cars, or a couple inches of snow on the road, and usually when you walk outside, you can say, okay, this is going to be a rough morning. Sometimes you go out and it's 4 o'clock in the morning and the stars are out and you're like, okay, you know, it's still imminent that this storm is going to come, but the timing is really what's throwing you off. So, you know, depending on what happens that morning, we're in constant contact with state police, county roads. We want to, you know, find out what they're, you know, we see the county roads trucks and the state road trucks out. You know, Jim Parker and his crew are out at the schools ready to go, and it all depends on what happens that morning.
When we're out on the roads examining the travel conditions and we're trying to approximate what it's going to be like for the school bus driver, we make sure that we travel the roads, the county roads in particular, that school buses are traveling. Many times the state highways are in great shape. 140 and 27, 26, they're in great shape. But when you go back on the county roads where our buses travel and the developments where our buses have to go, a lot of times they're not in good shape. There's many more miles of county roadways than there are state roadways, and it takes our county road crews a considerable amount of time, you know, 4 to 8 hours generally for a snowstorm to get to all of our county roads.
There could be a system that just hits Westminster. I've been involved in those before, where all the roads in Westminster are a sheet of ice and I drive further north and nothing. So just because you go outside and you say, oh my gosh, my road's clear, there might be something else in a different part of the county that either because of weather pattern or because the temperature changes or the elevation change, they have treacherous roads that have to be addressed, even though your roads might be clear.
In the event of inclement weather, where a possibility of schools being canceled, the driver still makes his way in here if no word has been gotten by radio or television or Reels hasn't called anybody. We will come on in, do our routine, and then if the word gets out, then somebody here from Reels will let the drivers know before they take to the highway. There are instances, and have been instances, where the word is delayed getting here, where we maybe have already dispatched a bus or two. And of course, at the time you use the cell phone for emergencies, where they're able to pull over and safely answer the phone, you get their attention and tell them they need to get back to the bus lot. Schools have been canceled.
One of the things that we also look at in terms of making the decision to delay or close school is the condition of the school parking lots and sidewalks. And our school maintenance staff do an exceptional job in terms of clearing the sidewalks and clearing the parking lots. But it does take considerable time to do that, particularly with more serious storms. But when we're out on the roads, we're not only in the morning, we're not only looking at road conditions, but we travel to as many school sites as we can, and we notify Mr. Parker, our Chief of Maintenance on Operations, that these schools perhaps need some touch-up or these schools need some work, but they do an exceptional job of getting schools ready, and for the most part, when road conditions are acceptable for buses, schools are acceptable for students as well.
After a decision is made to close schools for the day, or 2 hours late, we all meet back here at central office, and we have a debriefing. We talk about what we saw. We complete a weather log that says, you know, what we saw on this day and the final action, so we can go back and keep track of that and make sure that, you know, we're trying to be consistent in what we do. When we're looking at closing schools or delaying schools, it's the safety of the students, it's the safety of our bus riders, and making sure that they're making it to school on time and in a safe manner.
Field trips and after-school activities such as band trips and athletic trips are done through a bid process. There's actually a contract for athletics where school bus contractors, based on their bid prices, were awarded to specific schools or specific sports during the school year, and our purchasing department handles that, as well as band trips. Field trips are handled at the school level schools are given a list of qualified school bus contractors that schools are required to contact in terms of receiving at least three bids, and then schools would select the lowest bid in terms of the contractor that would provide service for that particular field trip.
Some cases with these sports trips, they may run late, but the drivers that are taking those trips may be a substitute driver, and so they're not asked to be out the next day on their regular routes, so that you have proper time off between your getting back late at night or possibly starting in the morning, and maybe you won't run until the afternoon at that point.
Outdoor school, since it's part of the 6th grade curriculum, all students who want to can go to outdoor school. We supply all the transportation through our contractor fleet. Every contractor that was interested in providing outdoor school transportation put their name in. It's not a bid process. We pretty much selected names out of a hat, anybody who's interested. And the buses that run, they have either 1 or 2 for the number of students, and then there's a luggage bus. There's one bus that's designated, and it fills up. So there's a lot of luggage that accompanies the students to outdoor school. So that's something that it's a benefit to the contractors, so that they can get involved in that, get some additional time and mileage.
I think the biggest misconception that a lot of people aren't aware of is that bus drivers have to have a commercial driver's license. You are trained and have to go to MVA, take special tests to become a CDL driver, have a commercial driver's license. And with the job, the things that we do each day, checking out the bus each time it's taken out, dealing with the students, getting to know each student, practicing bus evacuations and being ready for any situation that might arise out on the highways, and constantly being aware of your surroundings. And as for the safety of the children, prior to picking them up and dropping them off, that they're in a safe situation at all times.
The drivers have the hardest job over everybody in transportation, I believe. I taught for 15 years, taught a lot of students. The drivers have the hardest job. So anything I can do to help that driver make their life a little bit easier, I think makes it better for everybody.
Transporting all these students, the students we call are precious cargo. And that's what they're transporting. It's not transporting materialistic things like when you do drive a truck. So parents put their child, the most precious thing that they have, on a school bus and expect that the school system has trained that driver in every aspect to transport that child to and from school safely. It's not taken lightly. The bus drivers that we have throughout the county are awesome.
We don't receive many accolades in transportation, and we recognize that our job is to be as transparent as we can. Parents and students and school administrators have the right to expect school buses to be on time and there every single day, 180 school days a year. And so we receive our satisfaction knowing that we have a tremendous record in terms of on-time delivery and safe delivery of students. So that's the reward for us, knowing that each and every day we've safely delivered 27,000 students to and from school.